looking at sockets, connecting to computers on the internet, passing information and receiving information. Now, it's the same as just writing to a file. It's the same as system in and system out. And what you use to pass the information is streams. Now, we used like system.in. If you look at first class, this here is a stream, system.in, and it's a stream of bytes. And what we had to do to pass it to a reader, so it wasn't bytes that we could print out, but we used a class called input stream reader, which converted the byte stream into a reader. And so we converted to a reader, then we passed it to the buffered reader, which we could print out here. And in this case we passed it into an int, from a string to an int, so this would be a number. But the same with sockets and Surface. The one thing you need to know is that I'm not going to be connecting to another computer. So the Surface is going to be on this computer, plus the socket is going to be on this computer. So I'm going to say localhost is the local address. I'm going to send it to the, instead of typing in like the IP loop, which would come back to me, what I'm going to do is there's a name called localhost, a string, and what it means is the local computer. So I'm going to send it back to itself, and the same with the server. So the two are going to be in the same computer, but if you had different IP addresses on other computers, and then the server on one computer and the socket on another computer, they would both speak to each other the exact same way. And so that's what I'm going to show you. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the socket. Now this rests to a socket and there's a server. The server has a server socket and a socket, and we'll explain as we get there. And so each one reads its own program. You can see both have their own main. We have the try and catch, and the socket and the server socket are both classes in Java, and so you make an object of them. And so it's just the same as making an object. Socket, I called it sock, new socket, and I passed it 2 parameters. Now, the constructors in this class, there's many different constructors that you can use with different parameters or no parameters at all. Now, I chose to put a localhost here, which would be an IP address, and localhost means the IP address of this computer, or the 127.0.0.0.1 loopback address, and I think, I'm not too sure now. So, and 7777 is a port number. Now, ports, computers have ports. They're not a physical thing, it's a logical thing. It's a software requirement that you send something to someone's computer. There's thousands of ports on the software, and so when it gets an IP address, it checks to see what port number, and if it says a port number which is not opened, or said to say you don't get access. Now, or say if you've got all your ports open in a computer, your computer's not safe. So you'll have all your port numbers lost and protected. And so when someone tries to access your computer, you would have given permission, and you'd have given a port number to access with a certain software package, and so that port number would be opened, and so this port number we're going to use, and the server class is going to have the same port number as this one, and so that's what we're going to use to access the computers. Again, I don't want to speak too much, because I want to show you, and you just want to see. So this is a port number, and so that's a localhost, and that's a port number. And the same with the server. The server socket is a class. I've called it self, new server socket, and this just takes the port number. It's not going to access itself. It's just going to return data to whoever connected to it. And and so it doesn't need to know where they came from, and so but it does need to know the port number to set to. And so I've done a string, and we also have a socket. A server has to accept a connection, and it does it through a socket, because the socket's going to get information from that port, plus it's going to send information from that port if it has to, and it's done with a socket. We called it SS, and then you can see the name of this server socket dot accept. That's accepting connection, and that's the little bit extra between a server and a socket. Is a server socket has a server socket and a socket, and what you'll see here is that we've seen this before, but we've got a buffered reader. And if I go here, this was us doing input, typing in a number from console and printing it to screen, and to do that we use system in. Now system in is all bytes, it's a stream, but a reader is not a stream, it's all characters that we can see strings, and so we have to convert these bytes into characters, like a string, and this class in the middle is one that changes the byte stream to a reader. So this changes it to a reader, and so the buffered reader can now accept the data from the stream into the buffered reader, and we can actually print it out to screen. So we've got input here, and we've got input read line, and we've passed it to an integer. So it's like pass int to convert a string to an integer, and then we print it out to screen, like here. And that's the exact same as what we're doing if we go to the socket. We've got the buffered reader, input, new buffered reader, input stream reader, and it's not system in, it's socket. The socket, sock dot get input stream, because it's a stream, but that stream is going to get converted into a string, and that's how we get input from somewhere else. And to send data, what we've got is a print stream. Remember, I said that the stream is all bytes, and it's a reader and a writer is different from a stream. So print stream is going to print, instead of printing to screen, your computer screen, what the print stream is going to do is going to print it to the stream on the network. And so if it's connected to the other side of the network that is to receive the socket, it's going to get this print stream, and so they'll get that on their computer and be able to do whatever they want with it. And so that's what print stream does. And so PS is what we called it to access it, new print stream, and inside here we've got socket get output stream, because it's not something we're taking into our computer, it's something we're sending from our computer to another computer, to the server. So get output stream, and so that's us created an object of print stream, and we've told it that we're going to send it to the socket, sock dot get output stream. So ps dot println, just like system dot out dot println, and we're going to print this from socket with love, and that will appear on the socket, the server. And this buffered reader is going to take information from the server. So if we go back to the server, we've got the buffered reader to read the information that we just sent from the socket, with love, and input buffered reader system, same again, and it's instead of get output, it's get input. This SS is what we call the socket. And so we created a string called message, and it's input dot read line, the same as we've done with the file, to read the print stream that's sent from the socket computer to the server computer. We're going to read those characters sent, because it's in buffers, we've converted the bytes to characters, so we're going to read that with the input dot read line, and then we're going to print from socket and message, whatever that message was. And then after that we're going to send something to the socket. So we're using print stream again, called it PS again. New print stream SS is a socket dot get output stream. This is get output stream because we're going to send something to the socket, the other computer on the network. ps.println from server with rough and system.out socket connected to server OK, and then we close the server. And so what I'm going to do, one more point is that to send information to a server, the server's got to be up and running. So if you've got a socket and you want to connect and it's not been, the computer's switched off or the program's not running or something, you'll get an error. It'll say sorry, couldn't connect, sort of thing. So the server's the first one that's got to be opened, up and running, and then the socket can connect to it. And so if I run the socket first, then we'll get an error and we'll think that there's something wrong with that network and we won't access it. But if we run the server first, then run the socket, then the socket will connect with the server. You can imagine, if most people know what servers are, and they've experienced it on the internet, websites and different things like that, when the server's not working or it's down, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to get connect to it. But if the server's up and you can't connect to it, it's not its problem. But the most important thing, it's got to be up first for people to be able to get that service. And so what I'm going to do is run the server class. Right, and then run the socket class. And if I open it again, right, what you can see here, this is from server, this is the socket from server, right, that's what we printed in to send, and from server with rough, and that's what we sent from the socket. And so if I go to the server, this is what was we sent from the socket, from the socket was right, from socket with rough, and then after that we said socket connected to server OK. And so what you can see is from socket, this is the server from socket, and the message sent from the socket, and what we sent out was from server with rough. And what you can see here is from socket with rough was what we sent, and then we said from server and the message that was sent from the server. So you can see that this is actually working. And so I don't want this to go on for too long. I've already spoken for too much, and so that's basic server and sockets. And what you've got to remember is that you can have many many sockets connecting to a server at one time, and so we're going to go into threads, and so that more than one socket can be connected to different threads of that server at the one time. And also we can have a continuous while loop inside the server where it's accepted a connection from a socket, then it accepts another connection from a socket, and it just continues all the time rather than just being dedicated to one. So again, thank you for your time.